The pack when with the proud. Check the size of my incisors when I growl. Relentless pursuit, separate you from your cold. Even if you have to run up on the curve. King, no master we deserve. Track you through your third. Yo, 0 to 60 in 30, some of the bucking 45. Fittest survive. Air spin back, re-visualize your demise while protecting my pride. Sole purpose is to provide, lot easier with my lioness by my side. Natural selection, speed of a peregrine. Radar can't detect my timing. Radar can't detect my timing. Apex predator.
So we can control YouTube then.
From Mount Belize water, like a polar bear from Mount Alaska.
Oh shit!
Then call me a black mamba. Apex predator.
Send it to a messenger now.
Like a barracuda from Mount Belize water, like a polar bear from Mount Alaska. If I'm a snake, then call me a black mamba. Apex predator. So treat me like a barracuda from Mount Belize water, or like a polar bear from Mount Alaska. If I'm a snake, then call me a black mamba. Apex predator. So treat me like a barracuda from Mount Belize water. Apex predator. So treat me like a barracuda from Mount Belize water, or like a polar bear from Mount Alaska. If I'm a snake, then call me a black mamba. Apex predator. So treat me like a barracuda from Mount Belize water, or like a polar bear from Mount Alaska. If I'm a snake, black mamba. Right now we sit down on top of the food chain, over vast territory, and I'm Mandarin. Serengeti, one of my domain. If you don't find no bones, then we take the blame. Concrete jungle, rugged terrain. Look at the color and the size of my mane. We no play close, much less play games. We not do this for likes nor fame. I've had the disposition of a bald eagle, miles above earth.
G Mike.
Ow.
Alright.
Watching you scramble, pick off the weak and the vulnerable.
Yeah, I think still give you trouble, Judge.
I think still give you trouble, Judge.
My boy, you have to change technician. You man with the break bout all yeah, this and all that. Nothing to go on here look like. Wait it, show your face.
They're right there.
Mike too big, I'm to you. Not too big on Mike.
But what? We also got our settings, I think.
I hear you there. That's some good.
No, you're all right.
No, go nowhere. Stay right there. Say something else, Judge.
Testing 1, 2, 3.
Yeah.
Yes, you could hear me.
Yeah, I could hear. I just connected to the external speaker where I got.
I know some bad.
The technician.
Bring the speaker closer to you, because it look sound good just now.
I catch up on my phone, right? But the technician, you know, the external speaker, I could hear no good.
All right,
you're
sounding
better now. You're sounding better now. But anyway, we live, at 9 o'clock, so could break into your thing when you're ready.
All right, well,
all right.
Welcome once again to the Sea Smoke Show. And if you see smoke, there's fire somewhere about. I am G. Mike Reed, dubbed the chairman, and I want to express gratitude for that honor. Big Judge, how are you, sir? Judge, you're frozen there upon me for a minute. Oh, Georgie, you're gone again. Get your technician, make you jump on that, because we're not hear you again. We're a bit late this evening. We start at 7 sharp usually. We want to thank all those who join on and check us even on a later watch. When you pull it back up, you can pull it up on YouTube, of course, at BELIZTICS, Beliztics Recordings, I believe that is. Yeah. So also you could check on CY's homepage. I believe he also links us on George's page and my page. George, anything yet? I see you laying back and waiting. Say something, George, if you hear me. Yeah, if you can hear me, put up one finger. If you can't hear me, put up two. We can't hear you, so I'm putting up two. All right. So you can hear me.
One.
All right. No, you're coming in. You're the break up. You're coming in and out. Coming in and out. Am I coming clear to you?
Yeah. No breakage.
All right.
That means I connect up this speaker.
All right. Your mic apparently your phone is good. Now to fix up the mic and you'll be good to go.
Yeah.
All right. You think you got it now? I hear you. No, I stop hearing you. Something that happened. See, they go in and out. Something is not.
Oh.
See, I hear you off.
I'm not sure.
I see your lips moving, but I'm not hearing sound.
Hello.
1, 2. I hear
Can
that.
you hear me?
I hear you now. That I hear a couple of words.
Are you hearing me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Now we hear you now.
Hello. We're not hearing.
Well, you're not hearing me. So either your mic not work or your speaker not work, and then go back and forth. One spell the mic to work and the speaker not work, and then next thing I can hear you and you can't hear me. Good evening, Gregory. How are you, sir?
I'm doing well, sir. Thank you very much.
Wonderful. Well, at least you know catch no gas pains on the show because you finish up that last piece of meal.
Yeah, I had a Snicker. I said I need a little bit of energy for today.
Boy, all right. I mean that does work, doesn't it?
It sure does.
The problem is that it gives too much energy and you can't, when you're ready for go sleep, you can't go sleep.
Yeah.
All right, George, I'm hearing you.
Sorry, I got this up.
What?
Yeah. I was gonna say it's not by accident that they introduced candy machine and vending machine in the office space.
Hello?
Serious? George, we're hearing you. We're hearing you,
yeah,
George.
we can hear you, man.
You're not hearing us. You're not hearing us. I am hearing you. I am hearing you. Why can't you hear me? Hello. Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Yes, but can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you clearly.
Perfect. Then we're set.
Well, we not got no problem then, right?
Yeah, I can hear you.
We're not touch nothing else then. Left everything like that. If it ain't broke, no fix it. Not touch nothing, boy. I could see you too. Anyway.
I try to get some volume, but it's all good.
All right. Greg, you were talking about
I was saying
introducing vending machines into the offices. You really?
Yeah, it was not by accident. It was to actually keep employees working longer and giving them that sugar boost they need for that after the draining of 6 hours.
Funny you should say that. You know, the big story in Belize right now happens to be some candy that they were selling to the school kids. Yes. And I see people going in all directions. One thing is that they're talking about the sugar, why they should maybe ban those people. Good night, Janice. Nice to see you again online. They're talking about banning the vendors from around the schools because they're selling the children a lot of sugar. Of course, this a sidebar, if you will. Red herring, because that has nothing to do with the argument that's on the table. Argument on the table, I believe, is how in the hell does the police make a bus? Nobody hear about it. Then they show the evidence, so that is a crime. You can't tamper with evidence until a case is finished.
The police throw away the evidence?
Well, that's what happened. They dumped it in a garbage can. The garbage man took it to the dump. People found it at the dump and started selling it because it was properly packaged now.
Oh.
They were we are calling Judge. What was it? Goofies, the gumbies.
Gummies, I think.
Yes.
Oh.
So
okay. So let me understand the story well. The police had made a bus and
correct.
they got some gummies and then they trashed it.
Right.
And then the people picked it up and start selling them.
Correct.
That's how the young students, they got a hold of it.
Correct.
I think, I remember in the old days, when Miss Mariho ran junior secondary BJSS, you couldn't go on her campus and sell anything if she didn't approve of you. I don't know how people in these days get on campus to sell little children stuff without the approval of the principal or whoever in charge of those school. And also we couldn't come out of the schoolyard unless you were authorized to. So you couldn't just get off the school property and go and buy something, right? So lots of change. I don't know quite the scenario of what happened, but lots of change that is creating a lot of problem, and we see it becomes evident how problematic some of these things actually are for our students.
Well,
it
exposes some of the needs of the school. I have long said that all these schools should have a cafeteria, because I don't know, like one time now when there was not much traffic out there, you could run home and come back at lunchtime. Children don't do that.
Yeah.
Again, too, I don't know. It's funny you should use the word campus, because I don't know any of our schools or high schools that would fit the description of a campus as such. They're just schoolyard, no. And there are people who come outside the gate, like at Holy Redeemer, and sit on a cart and sell stuff. I don't know.
But what I'm saying, they need to get approval so that I'm not. Oh, they could stop it. They could stop it.
But I don't know that if they should, because somebody else is also making a living and feeding some mouths, no?
That's true, but then we need to make sure that those people that are out there are approved and they have the understanding of what they could sell to our students, to our children.
I can't argue against that. I can't argue.
Yeah.
George, what do you think? I'm going to see what George is talking about.
I think it also exposes the police in terms of their chain of custody.
Well, of course, more than anything else, yeah.
Because if they seize these, these candies, there should be something that says we seize, 10 pounds of candies from vendors. We chose not to charge them. Perhaps there was no crime committed. We chose not to charge them, and somewhere in there has to be documented, some documentation that we will get rid of these candies in a responsible way.
Exactly, it needs to be destroyed. It not put in a dump. It needs to be
destroyed. You can't know everything, but I think maybe for future reference, the police might want to make sure that when you destroy any evidence, there are witnesses, just like when they have drugs like marijuana, you have some procedures in place. Well, they would probably need to have this kind of procedure in place for things like this.
Well, I don't think it's so much of that, George, evident that you need witnesses and all that, but it needs to be disposed of. That's a dangerous material. It needs to be disposed of in an appropriate manner. It cannot be just thrown in a basket and then thrown in a dump and then have it available to come back so that someone could go there scavenging, find it, and put it back on the market. The initial thing from them removing it and getting it was to deal with that.
The process of ensuring that it is appropriately disposed of is to make sure that there's a police presence beyond taking it into custody, recording it, and you have to ensure that it has gone from point A to point B, and that there's a process that took place that destroyed it. So It's not just deploying the police arbitrarily. Then that in a report that we documented that on Tuesday, April 7th, 20 pounds of candies were destroyed at the Mile 24 dump site.
That should have been that should have been standard procedure, and as far as I know, it actually was. I am wondering if the best place for that candy to have been was not right back where it was, where they would be selling it only to people who were old enough and could handle it. I don't think that those original people who had it would have been selling it to children. We would hope not. Marijuana at this point now, again, you classified it as a drug. I don't think is no any longer classified as a drug. Marijuana, I want herb, no. And I don't. And in fact, if there's one thing this has shown, is that even in quantities like they were ingesting, it is not gonna kill you. It might make you sick. My concern is that the kids in between the time where they ate it and got sick, they might have got a feeling that might become liking to and want to go back to that feeling again at some point, being introduced to something that they ordinarily would not have been. But anyway, let's say goodnight to Joe. Jose is in the house. Jose, can you see?
Yeah, I'm seeing and I'm hearing.
Wonderful.
Good evening, Mr. Cowie.
See why Janice Jacobs is saying that the candy incident was negligence on behalf of the police officer who discarded it. I agree. Yeah. Let me see what Adolfo Carlos Garcia is saying. Thank you for focusing in the good thing that can be done and improve the way snacks should be handled. God bless you all for bringing these topics that are happening, more control and constant inspection. Thank you, Adolfo Carlos. Guys, and I think this the big focus of the show is to try to bring some of these issues to light. Of course, our initial purpose is to try to bridge the gap between the diaspora and our Belizeans at home. But along the way, there are many interesting topics that I think we need to discuss and bring to the floor. Joe, what do you think about the candy thing, bro?
Well, it is quite evident to me, based on the information given by the minister, that it was another case again of non-compliance. Non-compliance, no doubt, gentlemen, has become the epidemic of the bureaucracy in Belize. They didn't handle it the way it should have been handled. Firstly, I understand, again, this is the minister saying so, that this was to be used as evidence in a case that is yet to come. So it should not have been removed in the first place. But if it had to have been removed and discarded, there was a procedure. Right. But it should not have been done because it was yet to be used in evidence in our case.
Are we sure this candy was really discarded in the manner they are saying, or was it actually given to some people that then used it in this way to give? Because it seems incredible that one person could go and remove. I'm just.
It's a fair question. It's a fair question. And I don't know the answer to that. The police are giving us that version. It seems they're confirming that, yes, indeed, the chain of custody was breached and somebody. I really think that, again, as George is saying, and I thought that was standard procedure. When you go and destroy anything like that, there's a public notice. And you can't just destroy it by throwing it into a garbage can, for Christ's sake. This is serious. I mean, I'm stupid.
No, that's what I'm saying. That's why it seems more like somebody passed it on to somebody else and then they misuse it and the police is trying to cover why they lost custody of it.
It shouldn't be hard, though, to trace this back to it. They must have some record about it.
I think that there is an important point that is being missed here. It's simple that first, it should not have been removed because it was yet to be used as an exhibit in the court.
Unless the case was thrown out and we didn't know.
No. I going by what the minister said. No, I know we can be cynical, but we have to be at least give them the benefit of the doubt.
Right.
Is that there is a case before the court and there is evidence held by the police. It's the director of public prosecution will make the determination as to when that should be destroyed.
Exactly.
That was never done.
Yeah.
So to me, in the first place, what came up now is that even if it was in fact officially given the go-ahead to discard, the minister is saying there is a procedure. So the person who did it contrary to the DPP instruction did not even do it according to the procedure laid out by the police.
So there are two crimes that they commit. That are two crimes.
Yeah, and that's why I'm thinking probably somebody remove it from the police custody, put it back on the market, and it ended up in the hands of the children. Because
But
it
that is-
seems
Sorry
incredulous.
to interrupt you, gentlemen, but I really would like you to focus on the more important thing
Mhm.
is that it should not have been removed.
Well,
And that's
but-
what I'm
so
saying.
what we
Somebody
are pointing-
removed.
no, no.
That's
Sorry
what I'm
to
saying.
interrupt. What we
Somebody
are pointing
removed
out
it to
here-
put it back on the market. Somebody removed
Yeah,
it
but
from
to
the.
me, that is not the issue as yet. The issue is that you
But it has to be a
discarded
part of the issue, Joe.
evidence.
It's a part
You
of the whole
discarded
issue, man.
evidence. Huh?
We know that, but we've covered that. But okay, there's more to it than that, though. I understand you want that to be the main focus, and that's all right. Yes, it should not have been removed. We're saying that. But now, how was it removed? Because
Exactly.
Gregory has a good point. It has been done before, where the police take the evidence. I've seen it done with firearms. They take the evidence and do something with it that they are not. So maybe, in fact, it was not discarded in a trash can, as they're saying.
Exactly.
All right. And we
Somebody-
do know that it should not have been removed. If you're saying the minister is confirming that the case was not fully closed. Now,
Exactly.
give us more information about the case too. Who was busted on in this? Who is bringing in these marijuana lace candy that could in fact turn up in the hands of children? That is also an important point, don't you think?
Well, Mr. Chairman, if we can agree first that what was done was wrong, it should not
Yes.
have been
Yes. Yes.
discarded.
No,
One.
we agree.
So,
We agree.
secondly, if we can say, no, listen, there is some implications here, no, as a result of a non-compliance issue,
Mhm.
then we look at the implication that arise as a result of that. The implication is this now. They were in fact discarded, but not in accordance with the rules and regulations.
How
for
do you
discarding it.
know?
Or
How do
they
you
may
know
have
that?
been
Well,
or they
the
may
other
have been
way.
removed illegally.
No.
They may have been also been removed illegally and put back in the hands of
Yes.
someone to sell again. And
Yes.
they probably didn't know what they had exactly and offered it to little children.
But Mr. Morrison,
Mhm.
what you are doing is speculating.
I
Speculation
am,
is not
I am,
evidence.
but it's not too far
you are
from
too,
what has
Joe.
happened in the
No, no,
past.
but
You
my
are
point
too,
I'm
Joe.
making is that, and yes, I may be sounding argumentative, and I think we should.
No. I mean, I say you're
The point
speculating
that
also.
the point that I'm making,
Yes.
if I begin to speculate,
Mhm.
and my speculation has no evidence, then
Mhm.
we need to accept that speculation evidently is not evidence.
But what
No,
evidence do you have,
no,
Joe? What evidence do you have?
The only evidence I have
Uh-huh.
is what the Minister of Police said on national television.
Ah,
Yeah.
boy.
And the-
When
and the
you
minister-
start-
So, hold on.
yeah, and he would
Hold on.
never lie.
Skepticism-
No.
the
No.
cynicism
They-
is
no.
going- the cynicism is becoming
Matthew,
irrational.
Matthew,
No.
Luke, Mark, and John. Yeah.
No, but the
They-
cynicism,
Well, I
I
think
understand the need for cynicism because of the behavior of the bureaucracy. But do not allow this cynicism to blind us psychologically. If
But
the
it doesn't.
minister
It's not
came
a
out-
rational.
You're missing it.
Joe,
You're missing
Joe,
it. You're missing
Joe,
it,
it's
Joe.
not rational that any sensible police officer will dispose of evidence in the first place like that, and it's not rational also that he'll put it in a trash can. The first thing, removing the evidence is illegal. Putting it in a trash can is atrocious, because it could get right back in the market. So my only speculation is on good reasoning, and it's based on police behavior in the past, where they have taken evidence out of the custody of the court and used it inappropriately, or totally say they lose it when cases are coming up for people that have paid them off. And that is speculation, because I've never seen it happen, but it has happened sufficient time to know that it is not just something is misplaced or get lost.
And
They
Joe,
are removing it.
you're suggesting that you're using the minister's word as the evidence that you're pointing to. But
Well,
now
my
the
point
minister
is
is
this,
going
is that,
on what the minister has been briefed by the police. The minister wasn't there. He wasn't in that exhibit room. He does not know what occurred. But
Yeah.
he is going on what he's told by the police, who have lied before also. Now, none of the ministers lie. But I'm saying, and the minister might not be lying. The minister might very well be just going by the briefing that he had and with confidence in those who gave it to him. But that is not outside of the fact that it might have been removed by the person who's in charge of the evidence room, and they have moved more than 1 or 2 police officers from there for that very reason. You see? So yes, it's speculation, but that's all we have to go on.
No, Mr. Chairman, I really have to dissent on this.
You're defending the bureaucracy, Joe.
No. It's not defending the bureaucracy. It's simply saying that if 100 policemen out of 2,000 or 200 policemen out of 2,000 had been proven to be rogues, and those rogues were properly reprimanded. No, we cannot, in fairness to the bureaucracy. Of course, I have some serious concerns about bureaucracy, but they are grounded in evidence. And I am only cautioning us, because of the responsible position we hold on this show, is that when we begin to speculate, there are people who are listening and will take the speculation to be evidence. So when we are speculating, we need to look at the circumstances in which we are doing it. The minister came on a national television and made a public statement. Now, we must have evidence to show that the minister may have heard intentionally or was misled.
Sure, no, you're holding us to
The minister is an attorney, senior counsel. He knows what information to present to the public, because he understands information like that. And I think if he just gave us that information, he himself has some responsibility for misleading the public to some degree.
Can I ask you a question, Mr. Gregory?
Yes, sir.
Did you hear what the minister said?
I haven't heard everything. I heard just a little snippet of it.
What I did is that I don't listen to everything on the news and everybody, but simply because this matter obviously got public recognition, or at least they had a public awareness through. These were 30 children,
yes,
whose lives were at risk.
Yes.
And this certainly reverberated throughout the country. So I began to investigate myself to find what really happened. So when I heard it come on the news, because the minister I told was going to make a public statement, and he did make the public statement, based on what he said, I have no evidence to show or to say that he was wrong. If you believe that the minister, being a lawyer, if you believe that the minister has the
capacity for twisting the truth, let me finish that for you. But you're frozen there in time.
Well, what I see is speculation, and on top of speculation, I think that
speculating that he may be wrong.
All of us are speculating.
Yeah, but I believe that when you make a statement, there has to be certain assumption, and perhaps in this case, the assumption would be that the briefing that comes to the minister is above board. There's an obligation on behalf of the police force and the police officers not to falsify information. And so,
I like that laugh, because you know what? That's not speculation, that's assumption.
Yeah, but I am saying, well, you call it, you could call it what you will, but I am saying that you could end up in a circular argument that goes on into infinity.
True.
But at some point, you have to realize that there are boundaries that you have. And one of the assumptions that you need to make, whether you like it or not, is that the police are duty sworn, in terms of the upkeep of the law. And a part of that upkeep of the law is that they will not lie out of hand. And so when the minister is saying that this is what has happened, at some point you have to say, all right, well, if the assumption is that the police are above board, then we need to believe the minister. But if you are saying, well, the minister could be lying, then...
No, I didn't say that.
Nobody said that.
No, there's
one... Nobody said that. Don't do that. Don't
Yeah,
do
but
it.
the inference,
Let's
the
track
inference is
No, you
extremely
can't
clear.
wait for that.
The inference
No,
is
no, no.
You
clear
can't
that the
throw that
Track.
out
minister is
there and
not
talk
telling
about
the
wait,
No,
truth.
no,
wait,
no,
make you
no,
clean
no,
it up.
no. Let's
No.
track this. Let's track this for a moment.
Mr.
The
Chairman,
minister is told by
everybody is
a
talking at the same time.
Yeah, George. So hold on for a minute. Because you talk for the last 5 minutes. Hold on, because
I
you
did
say
not.
some things that no make
I
sense.
have been listening to you guys and I spoke for 15 seconds.
But you're casting aspersions, man. Go,
No, I am
finish your
not
point.
talking. I am
Finish your
listening to
point.
you basically saying that the minister could be lying.
No, we didn't say that.
But
You
the
cannot
inference
say
was
that. That's not
suggesting
what I'm
that he's
saying.
lying, Mr.
That's
Morrison.
not what I'm
Can we
saying.
ask, can we
That's not
ask,
what I'm
Your
can we
saying.
ask,
inference is
Mr.
suggesting it.
Can we ask the producer to give us a recap of what you said?
I did not say the minister was lying. I don't need no recap
What
of
did you
that.
say?
Yeah,
I
that,
would
What
that
did
never
you
not
say?
say
necessary.
that. I would
That's not
never say that.
necessary. We gotta get to the
What
But
did
point.
you
Come on.
say?
in fairness, Mr. Morrison, you did not say that the minister is lying. But the
What did you
inference from
say?
your choice of word was suggesting that. But let
No,
me
I'm
say
saying the
something.
minister could have been given improper information because
Exactly.
Yeah,
That's a
there's only
different
one
thing.
person that knows what
yeah.
really happened. It's the person that disposed of that, and then he had to once that evidence hit the market or those children, somebody had to account for it. And what is their excuse? Oh, I threw it in the trash. That's what I'm trying to say. That
Exactly. He
somebody
knew he'd
passed
be in
it
a
off.
world of trouble. He'd
Yes,
be in a world of trouble.
exactly.
It's a
But
it's a
gentlemen,
lesser
At some
trouble.
gentlemen,
point,
there are
at
2
some point,
points
you are
that
making utterances, Mr. Morrison, that the
that's right.
minister is communicating to the public information that is potentially false.
That's
That's right.
correct. That's correct.
What's
And
wrong
I
with
agree
that?
with you. That's
That's
what
what
you're
I'm
saying.
saying.
What's
That's
wrong with
What is
that?
exactly
wrong
what
with that?
the
What
evidence.
is wrong with that is that you need to start in a logical conversation with
My
a sound.
logical conversation is that a reasonable police officer that is trained will not dispose
Exactly.
of dangerous product in a wastebasket so that it could end up at a dump.
No,
Some
no.
person could find this dangerous material in conditions where hundreds of thousands of other things are discarded, that they'll find this one little package that has these candy that could now go to these kids. I'm saying there's a more reasonable explanation to what happened, that someone took the evidence from the evidence room, passed it on to someone that they know, that person end up selling it to the kids, and now they have to account back to the department as to what happened to the evidence. The easiest thing to say is I put it in the trash.
I just wanted to, for the sake of this conversation, when the chairman introduced the conversation, I got the understanding that the candies, the gummies, found its way to the garbage dump, but maybe I kind of
The national trash refuge.
Wait a minute. Dump itself
that
in
is
there. The
what
garbage took itself out.
so Mr. Morrison, when you are saying that somebody fished it out of the trash, it's giving the impression that perhaps within the precinct itself, where the evidence was housed, somebody arbitrarily or idly fished it out the trash.
That's not what I'm saying. That's not even what I'm saying. I'm saying
I
the
am
person
saying
that's
that's the impression
responsible.
that I got, sir.
But George, if you're saying something that he's saying that he's not saying, he should have a right to correct that and make you know.
No,
But because
I
you're
am
not,
saying,
you're twisting it wrong, man.
I am saying what my understanding is from what
All
he's
right,
saying.
let's get the proper understanding here, right?
Yeah, let's get
Mr.
the proper.
Chairman,
Hold up.
What
Mr.
is
Chairman,
Mr.
I
Morrison?
think Mr. Maivit said something that we are overlooking. And could you allow me to just give support to what he said? He made a statement which is grounded in the standard of justice in Belize, and I think in many countries. Every person is innocent until proven guilty.
No, they're not. No, they're not. They're presumed innocent.
That is,
They're presumed innocent. You
hold on,
cannot
man.
say
I'm coming
no,
there.
but you're
Mr.
wrong.
Chairman.
You're wrong.
The assumption, he said that there is an assumption. The assumption is that you are innocent until proven guilty. That's the assumption he's saying. That's what he made clear
Well,
just now.
you turned that wrong for clean that up, but that's all right. We let you go with
No. When I said this, the person is innocent, I am premising.
The person is not. You cannot say that's speculation. You cannot say the person is innocent.
Mr. Chairman, Mr. Morrison said that we should assume that what the minister said is true. And I agree with him. Everybody that is elected or appointed to office, there is an assumption that he's innocent until we can prove him guilty. And the same thing in the justice of law, the same justice for the bureaucracy, CEOs and administrators.
Tell me something.
I was not holding the minister. I was only holding the minister limitedly accountable that if he's a lawyer, if he gets a statement that doesn't make sense to him, he has a responsibility to not just pass that on to the public. And I believe that if someone wants to tell me that and I have some responsibility, I don't know if I would repeat that statement in the manner the minister repeated it. Because I'm telling you, it's more reasonable to me that someone took the evidence, passed it on to someone, and now they're trying to clean it up to not have themselves being accountable. Because why would you take evidence from an evidence locker and put it in a trash container? And then, wait, just let me finish. And then that trash that you put it there, sir, that trash that you put there end up at the dump, the national dump, and then someone that's picking around in a dump with thousands of garbage stuff finds that that single little package of 20 pounds in a trash with thousands of different discarded things that probably look more.
But Mr. Chairman, please let me come back to the point.
Okay,
the minister is saying that what they did was wrong on the face of it. No, they are investigating it, and these people will be brought under investigation.
Why haven't we heard that before? Haven't we heard that one before? No, I bet you this blow over like Andy Breeze. I bet you. How much you want to bet?
No, but again, the cynicism should not allow us to.
Let me say to be cynical. You're saying the experience we've had. You're saying that politicians would never lie, and I can understand this coming from you and George Mavitt. I will tell you that politicians do lie.
No.
How is that?
I would never say that politicians never lie.
You got George in.
All human beings are susceptible to lying.
Yeah.
Whether you're a politician, a lawyer, a cabinet maker, or a plumber.
They say we lie at least 9 times a day.
The error we are making, Mr. Chairman, is that we tend to label people by their profession.
But no. You're being defensive.
You're a liar, you are questionable.
You're being defensive. This is a particular incident. All right. All Mr. Morris has done was, yes, speculate that it might be other than what the minister is saying. Let me tell you something now. Me here who spent years speaking for the police, and I was accused of defending the police too much. But you know what I did? I bought a motorcycle. And anytime incidents happen, I try to make sure to visit and get firsthand what is happening, because there are many times the report that comes in from the police out there is not what happened out there. So I have to make sure that I'm passing at least what is close to the truth as I can get. And it's important to understand that it can happen. You can't say no, it's not happening because the minister is saying it's gospel truth. That makes no sense to me.
Well, what I want to say is that I was of the impression that Mr. G. Michael Reed, while he was the police press officer, was an ardent defender of the police.
That's good.
But I was speculating. What I am saying is that at some point, I was speculating. But at some point, you move beyond speculation to what we call informed opinion. Everything that utters out of the mouth of the minister or the chairman or any of us does not need to be speculation. It might be an informed opinion. And I am saying, based on the concept of not speculating, based on the structure of the public service, and based on the chain of command, we talked about that, the chain of responsibility, at the point that the minister speaks, we need to assume that his utterances are above board. Whether or not they are, unless we have evidence to the contrary, you have to assume, or you should assume, that it's the gospel truth.
What you're saying is beyond reproach. You're saying it's beyond reproach. That's what you're saying. It's beyond reproach because ministers have never lied. This is what you're saying. No, that's exactly what you're saying.
No, Mr. Chairman, I must strongly disagree with you. Mr. Mavitt did not say that.
Yes, he is. Well, and I'm going on informed opinion here. What is he saying, Joan? What are you saying?
What Mr. Mavitt is saying is that the person in position, whether in politics or in business, but in a position as a leader to make a statement, we must assume that the statement he made is true and correct, unless we have evidence to the contrary.
That's exactly what I'm saying.
No, that is just so far. That is just so far from reality. That is
I
just
beg
so
to
far
differ.
from reality.
I
That
beg
is
to
so
differ.
far.
Let's
That
put
is
it
so
like
far.
that. I beg to
Yeah.
differ.
Mr.
I'm not.
Chairman,
Why can't we have evidence before we assume it to be true? Why doesn't this individual who's coming to us with a story present some evidence to that effect? And they can do that. They have the record. The paper trail is there. Who got arrested? When did this thing go missing? Who
Yeah,
was responsible for doing this?
Who
There's
did
a
he
lot.
notify? Who gave him authorization
Who
to
gave him
dispose of
authorization?
evidence?
And if Joy's saying that the DPP did not close that case, then there's an arrest that has to be made immediately. How about that?
but Mr. Chairman, are you suggesting that at the point that the minister, in the context of this conversation, makes
No, we cannot.
public
We're
utterance,
not accusing the minister. You push
You
that.
keep
You and
to
Joe
defend,
pushing.
you
You and
defend
Joe
something that
pushing
doesn't
this.
need defense.
Yeah. No,
why
I'm not
you-
accusing the
why
minister.
are you getting defensive, Mr. Chairman?
No, you're defensive.
No, I'm just
You are
asking.
defensive.
But you seem to be angry and wanting to
No,
lash.
well, if you think that angry, you don't know me very well.
You realize that you're lashing out at the angel's advocate?
No, we're lashing out at the commissioner of the.
I wouldn't label Mr. Morrison as such. But go ahead.
The takeaway here is that if there's a moral to this story, the moral is that the commissioner of police has his job cut out for him.
Exactly.
Custody is a dynamic thing. The job is never done, but there's major room for improvement. That the powers that be, including the commissioner of police, the minister responsible, and people that are in law enforcement have to understand that there are certain things that you need to do, and you need to do it right, not 90% of the time, but 100% of the time, because once the public loses confidence, that's your whole job and credibility gone. And that is where the police is right now.
And
the police has got a lot of credibility
at this time. But
not in 90 days or 100 days, because this is a simple case to solve.
Yeah.
You have an evidence room.
Right.
You have an officer that's assigned to that evidence room.
Yes.
He knows what happened. And he's the one that needs to be answering questions here.
Exactly.
Yes.
Exactly.
So
That's an answer.
I believe
exactly.
that maybe a good reporter had to go in there and do an interview, find out what's going on. I know the minister is saying that again, and yes, we would like to assume that when the minister speaks, he speaks truth, but it's not like we haven't been burned many times before.
Yeah, but
And
I'm
we
not
have
even
reason
accusing
to
the
be
minister of lying. I'm not even. I'm saying,
and
the only
we're
thing
not, but the
no.
possibility exists. And
well, I don't think he'll fabricate it. He has no reason, because he
Correct.
could go make some head rolls
okay.
and have a proper vindication or adjudication of this issue just on his own. So I'm not accusing the minister. I'm saying he might have been misled. And then the other thing I'm saying, the way he presented the information didn't seem reasonable to me. It seems like something more hanky-panky happened with the evidence. Someone just find an easy way to say, oh, I trashed it. How could you go and trash something that you're not supposed to even touch, something that is evident? Who gave you authorization to trash it? When did you dispose of it? How did you dispose of it? When was the trash taken out and put into the trash that goes into the central trash that is then picked up by the truck that then takes it to the dump? Then someone going there, how many days have happened? How much time? When did you put it? When did that trash get picked up? How did that get to the trash dump? And then who picked it up and sold it? I think you'll get a reasonable answer, because they probably know who they sold the kids
bought it
from.
from. They know
So then there's
who that person
Yes,
got
but
it from.
Mr. Morrison,
yes, sir.
everything that you are saying is precisely, I believe, what is being done now, because there is an ongoing investigation. Why don't we wait?
Joe.
Okay.
Yeah, there is an investigation taking place.
What I think
for us.
What I think Mr. Morrison is saying, that the minister spoke too soon. Maybe he should have waited until this process was happen, and find more information before coming out and saying things like that leaves room for speculation. That is that unfair to say?
Well, Mr.
Could you?
Chairman, that
Yes.
one I cannot
Can I
oppose.
question you?
If your
Can I-
opinion, if Mr. Morrison's opinion is that the minister made a premature appearance, then fine. That could have been
That
the
was my
wrong
point.
time.
That was my
Maybe
point.
he needed more information. I
And
thought
I think he made
as
an
a minister of the
uninformed.
police, and this thing came to a notice when yesterday, I think, when the kids were taken to the hospital.
Right.
I think it was yesterday.
Mhm.
Now, the minister come on a public television today to make a statement of what he knows so far,
Mhm.
and that he is in fact condemning what happened, and that he's
Yes.
saying the investigation is underway. I would have
Okay.
thought that however cynical we may be, and to speak of this question of being cynical about the public sector and how many years some serve in it, I served 40 years in the public sector, 20 years as an appointed public officer, and then I served 10 years, and then another 10. So the public sector obviously is not the public sector that I left behind. So I am not the person defending the public sector for a public sector of such high integrity. No. But the point to be made is important, that we need to be careful of how cynical we become because of the failure of too many members of the public service. And in fairness to every member of the public service, those who have done well, those who want to do well, those who are doing their job, we must think of them too.
Yeah, but we cannot hide behind that cloak there and think that because we don't want to offend them, we can't call out what is in fact.
No. That's
True.
not what I'm saying, Mr.
No,
Chairman.
but that sounds like what you're saying, sir.
No, I'm not saying that. I am saying that we are speaking now to an
But you
audience
keep-
which I believe will keep growing.
You,
Therefore, it is imperative on us. We are
how
obligated.
careful do you want us to be?
I think we should be careful first to make sure.
How careful do you want us to be? Tell
I
me.
think we should be careful that whatever facts we have, we give our opinion on facts. No, if we don't have facts and we want to premise our statement as a speculative statement, we must say so. For the reason that
the
they are
texture,
We did say that.
the texture of
Everybody
how I
has been
said
saying
it,
that.
nobody has no such fact.
Everybody, you're saying we shouldn't say it at all. We shouldn't even touch it. Then what are we going to talk about? What really do we know?
I am saying that when we begin to say things that's supposed to have happened or things that is to happen, it's a fact that the minister came and made a public statement.
Yes,
So
nobody's
listen to
denying
what he
that.
said. Listen to what the minister said. Now, if any one of us who have served in the public sector or in the police, as the chairman did, he would be in a good position to know indeed the extent to which public officers, including policemen, which is some of the worst to have done, the people who have to uphold the law, that of course they have done wrongs. But I don't think it is fair for us as
To say they
citizens
don't-
of this country,
Uh-huh.
patriots as we are to be,
To say
to
they
simply
don't.
want to come out and to condemn without having evidence.
Joe, but come on, man, because you're going way off base here. Listen, that is not the situation here. That is not the argument that we're having here. Nobody's condemning the civil service. Nobody's saying there aren't public officers out there doing well. Nobody's saying that. There have been times, though, when there has been wrong, and you're saying because of that experience, we have no right to be cynical. You're saying we have no
I'm
right
not
to
saying that.
speculate.
I think you're missing the point, Mr. Chairman. What I'm saying is this. I have been responsible as a public officer to investigate other public officers. I have been responsible to work with a DPP to bring those public officers to justice. So to me, the question of when someone is wrong, evidently, the person must pay the price for being wrong. But what I'm cautioning against is that when we take a case like this case now and blow it out of proportion to the point as if though that something went wrong. Something
Mr. Joe,
wrong.
Mr. Joe, let me ask you a
Something
question.
went wrong. And the minister said what went wrong, and the minister said they are investigating it.
The minister said it.
Mr.
Yeah, go
Joe,
ahead.
let me ask you one question.
Sure, man.
Do you think it is more reasonable to believe that someone discarded this evidence, this marijuana trace candy, in a trash than to believe that someone took that candy and gave it to a friend to sell and it ended up in the hands of those children? Do you think it's more reasonable to believe that a informed police officer would put that in a trash to be discarded, and then is that a reasonable assumption?
I think it would be very unreasonable to believe that a police officer would simply take what is exhibit and just put it in a trash, especially what he know
That's
that is
what I said.
That's what he's saying. That's what he's saying, Joe.
That's
That
what
is
I'm
exactly what
saying.
he's
Yeah.
saying. And you don't.
No,
you,
was
isn't it?
Can I ask you the question that you asked me one?
Yes.
No, I didn't know that there was a police officer that took those things and put it in a trash can. Was that what happened?
It's
Who
supposed
would
to
do
be someone in the evidence room.
Yeah.
It's the only person that goes in the evidence room is
but
an authorized,
did they,
and not
from
every
what you
police
know-
officer does.
How
No,
would it
from
get
what
there?
you know, was the confectionery laced with marijuana put in a trash can?
Yes, that's what they're saying.
That's what they.
Okay.
What did the
And
minister say?
then it got
How did it
discarded into the dump, and
All
then
right, Joe.
someone found it at the dump and starts selling it to the children. That's
You-
what.
Well,
That's
to
what's
me-
unreasonable to me.
No, what the minister said tonight, what I heard,
Mhm.
is that it was removed, intentionally removed to be discarded at the dump. But he's saying that that should not have been removed because it was to remain exhibit. And therefore, what was done was wrong. Because it
So removed
it
and-
don't go ahead. So,
So
the
how-
minister is saying the matter needs to be investigated because
Yes, of
something went
course,
wrong.
of course, of course.
That's
How
what we are
how
saying.
was it removed? How was it removed, Joe? Did it remove itself?
Of course, he couldn't remove it.
All right, so somebody
So
had
what
to
I am
remove
doing,
it.
yeah, but Mr. Chairman, I am saying that the minister is saying that something went wrong. One, it should
Duh.
not have been- hold on. One, it should not have been removed because it was still to be exhibited in a case. Two,
Yes.
the way it was removed was contrary to the way they would have discarded it.
Duh,
So therefore,
duh.
yeah, the third thing the minister is saying, it is wrong and they're carrying out an investigation.
Right.
Now, to
And
me,
two
I
things
think
have
we are
happened
just here
now.
making a lot of time by just speculating. That's
Yeah.
what we are doing.
Yeah, we are.
Yeah.
We
I
are.
thought
But
that
you
the
know what
matter
has
could have
happened
ended
now?
by
By the-
saying, it happened.
Yes.
It is dangerous. It could have killed our children.
Yes.
And therefore, hear what the police has to say.
And what it did,
Now,
it
if any
introduced
one of us believe, if we believe that we are being lied to, here is where now we should speak out against it.
yeah.
But we don't
And
have
what
any
had-
evidence yet. We don't have any
This
evidence.
this
All
danger
we
has
have is
created a
what
lot
was
of
said.
problem. It has introduced these 30 kids to the taste of drugs. It has
It
has
was wrong.
Right.
The consequences will be terrible. We all know that,
yes,
Mr.
yes,
Morris.
yeah,
We know
yes.
the danger of these children having consumed it.
yes.
And when we speak of the danger, it is good to talk of it because what it will bring is the consciousness of how dangerous it is when public officers don't comply with the law.
Joe,
Yes.
how many times have we heard we'll look into it, it's under investigation, and after the investigation we let you know what the result is? How often have we heard what those results were? How often do we get somebody come back on and say, boy, you see that case where we talked about last week that was so important? Well, this had the result of the investigation. How often? And please tell me, give me one incident when you've seen that happen.
All right, Mr. Chairman, let me say this. There have been instances where evidently policemen and with the PEP and the law enforcement officers evidently acted in the most egregious form in violating the law. That's a fact. No, I cannot tell you because we don't have them kind of statistics in this country. I cannot tell you how many policemen in the last decade did it. I cannot give you those kind of statistics. But for
nobody's
one to
asking you
have
for
done
that, man.
no, even for one to have done it, it is too many.
Yes,
So
you're stating obvious facts, man. Those are
Yes,
facts,
but-
and not good. Not
No,
good.
what? Yeah, but the fact now that we must go to accept is that I feel that we have spent an exorbitant amount of time where we're achieving nothing of significance to the public for the reason that the minister has made a statement to the public this was wrong, that was wrong, we are investigating how we deal with it. No. If there were 5 instances out of 100 that was not done as he said, that is not enough for us to say it won't be done.
I believe that the penchant of the chairman for unfettered speculation.
Oh man, why don't you stop, Judge? Judge, I am tell me Apex.
Could lead one to presume unfettered speculation could lead one to presume that the sky is falling in within the police station and perhaps across the public service institutions across this country. But I will tell you, Mr. Chairman and gentlemen, that this might well be the exception to the rule.
Oh,
What? No.
Where do you live?
Sir,
Under what rock have you been hiding?
Let me ask you a question, Mr. Chairman. Wait, man, Mr. Chairman.
Go ahead.
There's 365 days in the year. How many days have you heard that evidence have been mishandled in the police force? Out of 365 days. You asked Mr. Joe just now.
You ask me a question, and don't ask me a question. Because if you ask me a question, I can answer it. But if you go on until you are mixed up, are you going to answer the question?
Why are you always aggressive with the angel's advocate? I'm asking you, out of 365 days a year, how many times have you heard that evidence have been mishandled?
About 368. How do you think most of those cases go down, boy? How do you think a lot of cases go down?
No, but I am asking you, Mr. Chair. I think that you're being facetious. I believe that it's bordering on mockery. It can't be 368 days, 365 days in a year. Where is your evidence that it's 368 days? Where, Mr. Chairman?
Yeah, well, you think I'm being facetious? This one want to know if I'm going to tell lies to the police. No, I was not. Any further questions? Or you want proof for that too?
You have answered the question. I think that you have attempted to deflect.
Yeah, to what? No.
So it's really the exception to the rule. But as I have said,
come on, George.
You have
George, a lot of cases get dismissed because the evidence is lost, the evidence is stolen.
Yes, that is a lot.
The evidence is paid for.
Big cases have gone down because paper missing out of the file.
Yes.
You know, I seriously, are you really going to suggest to me that it is an exception or wrong?
In terms of probability, Mr. Chairman, in terms of probability, I was asking you a question. I mean, over this month, it's only one time we have heard. Since the year began, we haven't heard.
George. We have heard, George.
So when did we hear of a previous incident?
Only when you are you saying, hold up, turn on the speaker for me. You're never going to speak up.
Mr. Chair.
Are you suggesting that it's only when you hear about it that it happened? Listen, man. No. Go on. Are you suggesting, George? Can you ask me a question and I answered it? Are you suggesting that the only time it happens is when we hear about it? Is that the point you're making there?
Well, I would like to ask you, what other occasion do we have to measure that a violation has happened?
When they dismiss case in the court because of missing evidence.
I mean, what you keep on, man. If you ask a question, going on. Come on.
But we're having a conversation, Mr. Chair.
What?
You ask me a question and I'm attempting to answer. When I attempt to answer,
you're not answering the question.
There's a terrible feedback.
Yeah. Who is that your speaker, Judge?
We're having a conversation, Mr. Chairman. And I am asking you a serious question. Today is the 25th day today might be the 25th day of April. Since January 1, I'm asking you a serious question. How many other occasions did it occur that it was exposed that evidence has been mishandled? It's a serious question.
Well,
I'm
can I
asking you
answer it
that.
in a serious? You allow me to. You keep saying it's a serious. Look, yes, okay. It's a serious question. May I answer it for you, sir? And who? Somebody touched it a while ago. Are you a speaker, George? I think that speaker is
I think your mic. I think your mic, G Mike. I think it's your mic, G Mike.
Hello. No, my mic is off. No. Hold on. No, that's not my mic. Not my mic. Hello.
I think the chairman is attempting to cut me off.
No, I'm not. I'm trying to answer the question if you allow me to. That's not my mic. Hello.
Feedback from George.
Yeah, George gonna speak on the man. George, a speaker will put on. Hello. How about
okay.
now? You
Yeah.
see? That's not me, man.
George, George, I'm right to high, George.
They will not hear you now. It's muted now. Take it off and just turn it down a little lower, George. Yeah, see? It's not. It's giving us a feedback. And we don't hear you now. Okay, you're muted. When you're muted, we don't hear you.
Okay, let's continue.
I'm saying that yes, we have only heard one time this year that something like this has happened. I can guarantee you that it's not only one time. Most of the cases that we see go down is because the evidence, police have not presented the evidence in a proper way. A lot of times the evidence comes up missing. A lot of times it's been tampered with. And they're not going to tell you that. If you're going to wait for the minister, Joe, to tell you that, he's not going to tell you that. In fact, you're not even going to have those. And maybe that's what we need are serious reporters, court reporters, reporters that are able to go in and get these facts and bring them to us. I couldn't answer the question. I can't tell you how often it happens, but I can tell you it happens more than you hear that it does. That's the only point I'm making.
I believe that you have attempted to quiet me down, Mr. Chair, but at least you have attempted to answer the question. My mic has been unmuted.
Yeah, we could hear
okay.
you, and we do get a little feedback from you.
I don't know.
You're still getting a feedback.
I would not be the one to try to mute you down, George. You're too able to come from one angle or the other and come back. Anyway, yeah. That something about that mic, that technician you have over there.
That's your mic, Georgie. That's your mic, Georgie. You got to figure out there's the speaker.
You got to fire that.
Hold on. Make a try Lloyd.
Yeah, Lloyd.
I don't know if that
my mic. Hold on, Mr. Chair.
It's too close.
Hold on.
It might be that gold medal with the blind man.
I think it's because he's on the Constitutional Committee.
Silver medal. There we go.
Can I come back at this point?
Mr. Chair,
can I come back at this point?
Well, Judge, I like when you mute the mic when you start to talk. I love it. Cause go ahead, Joe. You make a mute, Judge.
Last week, Mr. Chair, we only did one topic, and I'm wondering if
yeah, we'll take
maybe we should go on to something else.
Yeah.
That's your call,
no? No. That's all right. I'm good.
Let me say.
One of the things, Mr. Chair, if I may, that has crossed the public stage over the last week or so has been the double murder in Ladyville 1. And to another one that I saw was that two brothers that have been charged with murder, I think it's a kind of delayed charge, they have been granted bail. And personally, I never know that you could get bail for murder. You know, so
it seems a new paradigm.
Possible because they were charged with murder.
Yeah, I've seen a couple of murder charges that got bail, and I was surprised myself when I first saw it happening. But obviously, there's a new policy in place where you can get bail for murder, and I don't know if I agree with it. I don't see why they're tampering with something that has no effect on the outcome of justice as such. I think it's dangerous. It's dangerous because people who are accused of murder can become targets of family members of the murdered. So,
But you could be targeting even if you're in prison.
well, that too.
Probably you're a closed target then too. So I don't have any problem with bail for any crime, because you have to always assume that a person is, like we said earlier, it is the reasoning is that they're assumed innocent until proven guilty.
Only thing with that, Greg, is the evidence has to be so overwhelming.
But not to be charged for murder. You just have
Yes,
to be. You
yes,
just have
yeah,
to be.
just to be charged. You know how long it takes to get them charged? There has to be evidence that there's a PI investigation that goes on before the charges are laid. That's why many times you see they have to put them in jail, lock them up, let them go, put them back until they go get sufficient evidence to charge them. So, and that again is my my reason for saying that I would agree with the death penalty being reinstated. It's so difficult to not only convict a person of murder, but even get them charged for murder. A lot of times the evidence is mishandled. An astute lawyer told me this one time. He said what the police tend to do sometimes is to try to add on things to already strong evidence, make it even stronger, and as a result, then when you start to fabricate matters, it's easier for you to be caught, and then the fabrication is what is focused on, and not the other evidence that you actually have. And when they find a lie in one area, they tend to disbelieve you. In others, just as is the case, Joe, with politicians, you know, when they, I'm just saying.
Don't tell Joe that, man.
Joe.
He gonna tell us about he's been in public service for 40 years.
Joe, it's not me, Joe. That's not me.
But Mr. Chairman, I could be wrong. But
you think?
Yeah, I could be wrong, but I don't think that we have ever questioned is that people were not granted the permission to get bail on murder charges. And I think that the point that you made that, well, it's really not arbitrary. It comes out of a process.
Yeah.
My assumption has been that of all the crimes against humanity, murder is like the ultimate one. I don't know if the most egregious capital crime, I don't even know if capital is the word here. But you can't do worse than murder, really. And so I believe that the bar you could get bail for other things, but not murder. You know, and if that is so, then I don't know what the discussion and what the discourse may have been to change policy, because it's a policy change.
Well, here's the thing. The number one, I think that they load up the prison.
Yes.
And number two, I think they should make the cases go through the court quicker. Many times when you give them all that time, then, I mean, that's the way the case fall in. I think they should have judges working 24/7. Heaven knows they make enough money. They should be able to work longer hours and get these backlog cleared up. I don't see why you have a person languishing in jail for 78 years without a trial being heard. What's the deal? You know, so please, I agree with you though, George, is that I don't think they should be so quick to reverse that what they had before, that policy of not granting bail for murder. I could understand if you have a person in there 8-9 years, and then you could say, well, wait a minute, obviously we don't have enough evidence to proceed with this trial. It's unfair. But
can I ask a question? Ask a question?
Please go.
With murder, is there different degrees, or is murder? That's it. You don't have different degrees of murder.
Yeah. Well, you could be self-defense.
Yeah.
If you kill a person, you could still you have to prove it. You have to
I'm
prove
talking
it.
about different degrees of murder. They're not just murder. They have different degrees.
They have first, second, and third degree.
That's the first question. The next question is that I don't believe that they can, through a policy, make a decision as to who can get bail and who can.
Yeah.
I think that has to be codified in the law.
Yeah.
Well, they go to the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court makes that decision, I believe, no?
Yeah. I'll say something. I have no problem.
you have some bails that evidently cannot be made at the magistrate court.
Right.
That will have to go to the Supreme Court.
Yeah, I think if it's over $10,000.
And then they have some bails that you just cannot have. You will not have bail. It's out. And it has to do with murder, but I think it's some level of murder. I'm not sure.
But that one tough one. Now, who makes that determination? Shouldn't it be a judge? Some person qualified to.
Well, it'll be a judge. It'll be, if you could get bail, it has to be before a judge.
I would
and then
think,
the
yeah, and the
will
judge could give a
tell
bail,
you-
unless
tell
a
you
police bail. No, yeah.
Yeah, but
Well,
I have
think
no
they have
problem.
it either in the, you have the court procedure rules,
Mhm.
and I suppose it could be in the court procedure rules.
Yeah, but yeah, all right. But the crime I think that touched a lot of people was the one with the guy that gone in at the house and find a girlfriend. I think they're girlfriend. I think they were married. I don't think they were married. And obviously passionate. Or that's what the story came out as, no, that they were in the act. Of course, the sister came out with a different version, but I don't think she was there. So, but the fact that brother, and I said this right here, what he did was heinous. That now crime. I wouldn't want to be in his shoes, and I know that he got lot for go through before it's all done with. But the way he did it, I think I have to look at that and say, boy, if you have to do that, that's the way. Sit down, wait till the police come, say, see, I'm going there. I did that. I think that to me showed that the man got some kind of wrong in that way, but in a certain way, he proved to be a bigger man than most. Many would dash behind fence and shoot you and run home and make them alive and then send them in the home. Or then I don't know, me, I never do it, go plead not guilty. And I wouldn't be surprised if I go there and plead guilty.
Mr. Chairman,
Uh-huh.
let me ask a question again, because we're coming back to some of the same issues that I was trying to raise before. The sister had a version of what happened, right?
Mhm.
The rumor mill had a version of what happened. And the police gave a version of what they knew up to date.
Right.
So which is the version we're going to speak on?
No, you try, you get tricky away. Because
I'm not
of
being
course,
tricky.
No, all of
police
them, all
version.
of them are open
No,
for
Mr.
discussion.
Chairman,
No,
you
all
are
of those.
saying-
all
You are
of-
saying what you think.
But none of those are
No.
more valid than the other one. Because
Yes,
they
of
are-
course,
So
I give
therefore,
my
we need to
opinion.
be careful again. How we
Oh,
going
Joe,
to
but you're
suggest-
you're going to destroy the whole First Amendment, man. You want you to try muscle we? Why?
No.
Why would
Everyone
you
is
stop
valid.
us from
Everyone is
having an
valid.
opinion? And this is nothing will affect no case because the court is not going to use any of what we say as evidence. And I'm not
right.
going to go to
Let's
testify for
assume,
any of
then,
that.
let's assume, Mr. Chairman,
Uh-huh.
that the version that the wife, common law wife, was having an affair with the brother,
Right,
and the common law husband caught them,
right,
and he decided to kill him,
right.
and then took the picture.
Uh-huh.
If that is the version we want to speak on, then fine. Let's give our opinion about that version.
But all of them are valid, Joe. All of them are part of the circle of what makes up this evidence that we have so far. The version that the sister gave has some validity to some people. Some people believe that. I spoke to even my sister, and she told me when I question it, she says, "Why do you think she's not correct?" I said, "It doesn't make sense."
Are you aware, Mr. Morrison,
Mm-hmm.
that there are people on this planet as we speak that believe that the earth is flat?
It's
They're
not.
convinced that the earth is flat. That is not
Ah,
as valid
I like
as
that.
the evidence is showing us.
What's the evidence showing us?
What the police are doing is the police have a process of investigation.
What's the police version,
And
Mr.
also
Mike?
the investigation is that this gentleman was charged with murder, but there has to be the evidence trail has to be built on facts and not speculation. So I cannot say that the version that has been proffered by the police is of the same validity as wild public speculation. Why
No,
public
wild
speculation is
public
what it is?
speculation.
While an unfettered public speculation. What the police are giving you is the outcome and the output that the state has a responsibility to tell us what has happened.
Come
Let
on,
me, let
Joe.
me, let
Come
me, yeah,
on,
yeah. So
come on,
let me say something.
come on, George.
Let me ask you a favor. Make we not try carry over from one argument to the next and justify something in one argument with what we're talking about in the next. This is another thing. No, the police has given a version, and the police version is that they gone there and find the man with the gun, sit down, the man tell them where the gun there, and that is they're charging him with murder because they figure he committed the act. Now, I've seen so many times when people just will not accept, even in the face of the evidence before them, that something happened. I remember one time a boy got drowned off the pier in Dangriga, and the family pitched a bitch because no way that man could have swim, and that somebody kill him. That somebody, in fact, it got to the point where the police kill him, and they kept that narrative going. Now, the evidence now showed that the man Ghana probably he's something, I catch on cramp or something, and he drowned. But there many times family members do not want to accept and will come up, they speculate, come up with all kinds of scenarios. Does that mean that we should then just dismiss everything and go with that scenario that they're coming up with?
No.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes.
Let us begin with what we know to be the facts. The man, I understand, has been charged. Is that correct?
Yes.
I believe he has been charged, yes.
No, he has been charged because the police have reasonable cause to believe that he committed murder.
He said he did it.
He said he did and he didn't even deny that. Yes.
That's right.
So,
so
yes,
that is the fact. That is
Right.
the fact up to now. We know that
Yes.
to be the fact. We accept that to be the fact.
Yes.
Now, what were the circumstances that led to him committing that murder?
He
Are we
said
going
what
to
he
speculate
said
now?
what he said what it was.
He said it. Now, if he said it, then yes, we can say that he said why he did it. But what was it he said why he did it? Why
that he
did
catch
say
staying
did
at the
what
act.
he- Huh?
That he caught them in the act.
Oh, he said that.
Yes.
All right.
And I believe that in a case like that, we have to look in a like temporary insanity. We have to look into emotional distress, in a spontaneous thing. I could understand he got a gun pana and at the moment betrayed by two people you love, you just commit that act. Now, if you may go back to a car, get the gun and come back and shoot them, I would say, yeah, there's no way we could even look upon that, and there are no extenuating circumstances at all. Let's deal with him as a murderer. I think also the fact that he was bold enough to sit there and wait and not try run, not try hide, not try or say, next man I run for the border and try to get away, or again get witnesses to say they were not even there, then I would have little respect for him then. But what he did, I can respect what he did. Not the crime that he committed, not the killing of those people, because nobody has a right to take somebody else's life. We all, I believe, will agree on that.
Yeah.
But
Well, go ahead.
Go ahead.
I was going to say I give him no credit for any of the things that you give him credit for standing there and all that. He's a criminal. He committed a heinous crime, but he still deserves his day in court to have the evidence, whatever it is, if he doesn't plead guilty at the start, to be heard, and then to be convicted of his crime to whatever degree that conviction
and
is.
then we'll try and then hang on. No, you said, no. Listen to me. Tell me something. Were you a judge? If were you a judge? Make me just speculate for real this time. And you were hearing this case. Would you consider any extenuating circumstances? Would you straight up
Well,
suggest
I think it's murder. I don't hold that against him. Would I give him the death penalty if that was after hearing all the evidence? There's something disturbing he did that I couldn't understand, and they said he took a picture.
Yeah, that I wouldn't. I don't know.
Of the
I
individuals
think
that he killed.
That to me, is insanity. That's
It tells me that he's out there somewhere, right? So something
Yeah.
is going on with
Something
him
not correct.
personally, that gives me some concern. But would I give him the death penalty after hearing some evidence and that might mitigate something? I may not. But does he deserve to go to prison for if he's convicted for the crime? I would believe yes.
Well, Mr. Chairman, you suggested that we have the freedom to speculate. Let me then speculate. You said something about temporary insanity. What I would say, that is backed up by what they call impulse in anger.
Mm-hmm.
So, if he happened to have come across them at the scene, and he was armed, and he killed them, I believe that he committed murder. There's no doubt he killed.
Mm-hmm.
But the killing of a person doesn't make you guilty of murder in the law.
Mm-hmm.
So the issue of temporary insanity, I think, from what I understand from a lawyer himself, would be one of his claims.
Right.
Now, if he found out that there was in fact an affair going on, and he planned it, premeditated, no?
To catch them in the act, yes. I agree.
That would then weaken his case.
That's a good point. I agree. I agree. George, you were getting ready to say something. Talk to me.
Mr. Chair, I was just going to say that your characterization that the murderer or the accused murderer showed that he had kind of gravitas. He was a man for not running away or choosing another path is interesting because my first impression of him basically lying, I think almost on one of the bodies and taking that selfie, was that if there was ever a case of willful murder, this is it.
But that one after the fact.
And the question that arose in my mind is, do we still have the death penalty on the books? I know I should be conversation. I'm just saying that.
No, but were you the judge? Would you give him that? Would you condemn him to death? Would you give him the death penalty for that?
It's complicated because on his side may be the word that you use, extenuating circumstances. If he met them in the act and he was obviously stricken by his wife, I think speculation is that they were in love and they were piecing apart when you see the next one, then I think that perhaps I wouldn't do it in theory. But in practice, if I came on the same situation, God knows what I would do. So I think like Mr. Morris, I couldn't condone that act under any circumstances, but you never know what might drive a man continuously.
Well, so we're on the same page.
I would have to weigh that against the fact that he just posed and looked like he did not look contrite. He just looked like, all right, one or don't know, I kill them no. So that what?
Yeah. So, but you know what? I hope you understand. I hope you understand, George, that I did not in any way condone that murder. Those two murders. You know that, don't you?
That's with you.
All right.
But I'm just that you kind of gave him props that why he did not run away. He stood there.
I do, and I still hold that.
That same act itself, kind of, I have a totally different response, and it's not right or wrong.
Right.
But I think what we all have in common is that none of us is condoning what he did.
Or the narrative
of condoning what he did. But I think that what we are saying, or what the chairman is saying, and I tend to agree, is that there are mitigating circumstances. There could be mitigating circumstances for committing an act like that.
Mm-hmm.
And it is that perhaps that might go in his favor, especially if it is impulse in anger.
Mm-hmm.
You did it on the spot. But I don't think anybody is really condoning it, no.
Yeah,
but the question again, Mr. Chairman, the question over this issue that you raised about capital punishment. The way I understand, when you commit an offense and you go to jail to pay the price, you go there for the penalty, and hopefully, if it is not death, the opportunity to rehabilitate.
Right.
No, that penalty is supposed to serve as a deterrent.
Correct.
You do not want to commit the offense again while you are going through the rehabilitative process. But what has happened in cases that when people come up for the death penalty, it's more out of revenge. It's not necessarily the issue of, let's give him a chance because maybe he can rehabilitate after 30, 40 years. So what they have come down to is that capital punishment, they didn't see it as being the deterrent.
Well,
you think it's a deterrent? Do you believe
it's
that
a deterrent to him?
Do you believe that capital punishment can be a deterrent?
Yes, I think it
him.
can.
He's not going to kill anybody else. So
I think it could be a deterrent for other people that would do
but that's
exactly
it
what
too.
he did.
Correct. You have to look at that.
Yeah, I believe
They're not
that
only about him, they're about every. In fact, a philosopher once said that if the society should dissolve itself and go scatter about, if the last person that's in jail for murder, if he's not committed, then everybody else will have to be responsible for the crime that he's committed. So that one interesting thing, because if you don't, and it serves three purposes when you go to jail, of course. One, the punishment for the crime you did. They're supposed to get punished. Number two, the deterrent for not only you not doing it again, but anybody else that see this happening might not want to do it again. And of course, while they're in there, you want to try to rehabilitate them if they're not put to death for as such. So as a deterrent, it is important also that people out there who would want to commit it realize that there's a penalty for that if you do.
Yeah. I believe if it's done effectively and in regards to when these things happen in sufficient time, quantity and time, space of time, it serves as a deterrent. If you do it once every 20 years and select out of 500 killers, one killer to, I don't know if it served that function as it's intended, then it seems more like revenge. But if people are held accountable and the punishment is carried out in an effective time and consistently, I think it serves as a deterrent.
Couldn't then we do something like this? Couldn't we then say this? That you will reserve capital punishment for certain circumstances where the circumstance is such that it is extremely unlikely that you will ever rehabilitate that person.
Well, I don't care about rehabilitating him. That's really not my case. But I would reserve it for extreme cases.
Let's call it extreme cases. And then in the other cases, we can give them the sentence for life or some years in prison.
Judge, you try again, word you make go here, Judge.
Again?
Well,
you're wrong, Judge. Gregory Judge and started hit out at you, but which are good because I might left me alone.
No, I tell you that as a dangerous advocate, I've learned to hold my tongue in certain circumstances. But what I find very interesting is the issue of deterrence. And obviously there are varying degree. Long jail sentences, especially in these circumstances of murder, should be a deterrent. Nobody really wanted a jail. But the ultimate deterrence, I believe, is the death penalty. Hang him high. And I believe that under extreme circumstances, where the court is as effective as it could be and will not send the wrong man to the gallows, I believe that we should invoke the death penalty in extreme cases. And you know why I say that? Because I think there's a tendency to say that the death penalty is not a deterrent. And a lot of the data comes from the developed world. A lot of the data will come from the European countries, the northern European countries. Obviously, to some extent, the United States. There are states within the United States, and Mr. Morrison could guide me here, that you don't have the death penalty. But I am saying that in a Belize context, somebody needs to do the study, an academic study, because I am speculating here. somebody needs to do an academic study to find out if the death penalty in Belize is a deterrent, because I don't think that you could extrapolate, or you should extrapolate, the norm from Britain and Europe in general and say, well, if it's not a deterrent in Britain, then it's really not a deterrent.
You're missing a key point, though. You're missing a key point, because these are the people who dictate our policies. That they are the ones, and they hold back funding and whatnot. You have to take that into consideration when we wonder if we look at we basically can't do it, even if we prove that it's a deterrent for us.
Yeah. Well, I say hang him high, George, and let their mother cry.
It's a valid judgment, Mr. Chairman. It's a valid judgment.
What's a valid judgment?
Whether or not we will stick with the letter of the law to say that if you're convicted of a crime, you could be or should be sentenced to death, but because we are afraid of funding from the EU drying up, then we will say, no, we can't send dollars. That seems to be what you're suggesting here. And I said that should be a consideration.
Wait. I didn't suggest anything.
That's how our laws were formulated. That's how it went away.
You're kind of... Listen, I'm thinking that even corporal punishment in schools should be reserved, not taken off the books, because there's some children that's the only way they will understand what you're saying. That should be there. It should not be used and abused in just for frivolous cases. And they shouldn't get teacher to beat you, to wheel you up and whatnot. But if a child will not listen and you push out your hand like that and slap her in a ruler, I don't see no problem with that, because that could also serve as a deterrent.
But if you extend that to the circumstances of the court and jurisprudence, whenever I use the word corporal punishment, I use capital punishment.
Right.
Ultimately, hanging somebody for willful murder.
But that's the same thing.
Apart from that.
But I agree with you in that, yes, it should be reserved for extreme cases, and that's the same thing we're saying. Even at that level, they're basically the same thing as punishment for crimes committed.
Right. It's the ultimate punishment.
Yeah.
Mr. Judge, I think an important point that the chairman is making is that we are not as sovereign as we'd like to be. So even if we believe it's in the best interest that capital punishment can be solved as a deterrent, we must remember that there are countries who oppose it. And just like how they can cut off us with corresponding banks, the same way they can deny us of certain benefits that we believe we would have been entitled to. So what is happening with this capital punishment thing is on the book still. It's still the law in Belize.
Yes, it is.
But the reason
just as a policy
it is for the same reason the chairman said.
Yeah.
They will cut
off. I think, but you know what I'm thinking in these type of circumstances. If Belize was to say, run a referendum, and it comes back that capital punishment is what a majority of our citizens want, we present that to the European Union and say, hey, we're carrying out the wishes of the majority of our citizens as a democratic country, that capital punishment should be an active part of our jurisprudence and deterrent system for crimes committed for murders in these extreme circumstances.
You know what, Gregory, and this is why I believe Trump is so popular, because Trump is the kind of guy that would do that. Do we have anybody in Belize that would be bold enough to stand up to these people out there and say this?
Well, Mr. Chairman, I would want to answer Mr. Morrison. After the referendum, the people say they want capital punishment. Go to the capital of the European Union. Tell them this is what the people want. They will say, fine, go ahead. Go right ahead. And then you'll begin to feel it after.
Well, that's true. Then collectively, we have made that decision. You see, I have no problem with the people speaking and the people making the decision, because, these countries, they'll give you $10 million here and $10 million there. But then it creates destruction to our society in greater ways than we could understand.
Boy, but without it, the government would find it hard to function.
I know. But what I'm thinking too, if we do it in a clear way, and show them, probably they'll change, because the United States
Well,
doesn't oppose the death penalty. They have it in numerous states. I think out of the
what
50
we could
states,
do,
like 22 or 25 of them still have death penalty going on.
what we could do is do like say like when the death row get crowded, you pull on 10 and do it with 10 bops and oops, look like, sorry, and we don't do it again or something, but you send the message out. Speaking of death penalty, where the situation in the US that has been bubbling over with the pill for instant abortion, if you will, it's proven 96% effective. What do you guys think? Should that pill remain on the shelves in the stores? Should it be only for extreme cases, or should they give them what they want? Which these are the ones who are the pro-choice that are jumping up and down. No, what do you think, Greg?
I believe in a woman's right to choose, and it's her decision. And however she choose to do it, they have made it the medical procedure at the doctor's office more and more difficult. And so the pill could be mailed to someone even from outside of a state that kind of controls it. So I generally believe that the choice is a woman's choice. We have to look at the broad.
Hold on, make it go wrong.
Okay.
George, what do you think?
Well, I'm a conservative in principle, but in practice, I'm a liberal.
Is that kind of like hypocrisy?
I'm saying that because there are obviously circumstances where, two things. There are circumstances where it might be necessary. Somebody get raped. There might be some medical circumstances where the life might be threatened at some point by pregnancy. There's also the issue of a woman's right to choose, and that is that is the liberal part of it. I believe that a woman have the right to choose.
All right, Joe, what do you think?
I don't think that the woman's right to choose must be unregulated. There is a limit to it. She cannot expect to want to do an abortion 2 weeks before a child is born. So that is out the door. I think that there are circumstances that.
But these pills don't work in that level of
yeah.
It's not for that purpose, Joe. No, okay, go ahead.
What I'm saying,
sorry,
is that you cannot have an abortion simply on the basis it is a woman's right to decide about abortion. It should be regulated as to the circumstances under which it should be allowed. That's what I'm saying.
All right.
But that is the law.
May I do proffer an opinion here? Because I really think that when women are saying that my body and I should be able to do with it as I want, it's not the same thing as saying it's my life. I'm saying if you're going to put those pills on the shelf, put cyanide pills on there also. Because that's your life. You want to commit suicide, fine. But to kill an unborn child, life, for me, I think life is the Big Bang. That is the bang they talk about, and evolution is going from a baby on all fours up, standing upright and living. I really do not believe that there should. What we should do is focus on women practicing a more responsible sex, if you will. Now, they understand the rape part on it and the incest part on it. Do you know that Jesse Jackson was the mother was raped, and he was the result of a rape? But the girl they was sing Santa Baby, Eartha Kitt was the result of a rape. So there's no telling that because a woman is raped, that child cannot grow up. And I don't know if either of those individuals would want their mother to have committed an abortion. I really think that life begins at conception, and if not truncated, if not aborted, it will grow up, and you don't know what the possibilities will be. It's unimaginable. Might be the person will come along and find a cure for cancer. I really do not think, and I'm proud of you, Joe, in taking that stand. And I'm not saying that I'm not proud of you other guys, because you have your opinion. But I think that women need to stop and look at that some more. If you will.
But you see, you're only putting the responsibility on the woman, but the
Well,
responsibility for pregnancy
well,
is
hold on.
also.
No. I agree with that. Yes, because there are two of you. But if
Mhm.
that's the case, then if you will also put the responsibility there, then you will also have to have the man have a say in whether an abortion will happen or not, because they're also a part of it.
Well,
Wait.
that is more difficult. That is more difficult because see, a man, if a woman wants an abortion and the man says no, what right does it gives him to rule on that? Especially if they're not married. If they're married, I could understand that probably
But
there's a little more weight, but I still don't think his decision should force a woman
Greg,
to have a
if she
child she
has
does
that
not.
baby, she has that baby, do you know that married or not, that man has a responsibility by law to take care of that child until
But
the age
taking
of
care is
18?
just sending money to a child is not
No. It
the
should be that.
extent.
I don't think it should be that, but
You think in rearing them also?
yes,
Okay.
yes, I believe, and he does have that responsibility, because don't society look on people who don't take care of their children in a way, an
Courts only
unfavorable
look at
way?
it in the courts only look at it in terms of financial. Is he
Well,
paying child
they
support?
can't
Is
look
she
at it in
paying
a
child?
way. You can't force a man to be involved like
And
that. You don't know what the
that's what I'm saying.
circumstances are.
Part
But
of
I'm
the
saying,
development.
no, but that's not the argument here. The argument is whether the man, and you saying that no, she won't do it. He
Yes.
also did it. And I
Yes.
agree. He has responsibility, but he should also have the right to discuss with her what will happen to this child. And if two are not together say, boy, we have to crush it, then I don't think it's right. But they have a right to be wrong. Let me put it that way.
But
And
then let's just say that just she says do it and he says no. Then the court should force the woman to have the child.
That's a point. That's what I was about to ask you, Mr. Chairman. If you make it that the man must consent, of course you can only do that by law. That would make sense, Mr. Chairman. You can't have the partner having to consent. How can you enforce that in law?
For the
I
partner,
think Mr. Morrison is right.
But I think that in principle we talk about though, because the law right now, I don't know what the law can do about that, except that say yes, you go.
To me, if we are talking about principle, that's okay. But that ends in principle only. But what we are talking about is law.
Mm-hmm.
If the
what
law
we're
says,
talking about, Joe, that the life, the life, and I think
but there has to be life, Mr. Chairman, which will have to be governed by law. That's what it must be. I am saying here that whatever is decided when it comes to abortion, it would have to be regulated by law.
Let me hear what Judge is saying.
That's a must. We don't need to argue that.
Go ahead, Judge.
I don't know if anybody has accused you of being Jerry Falwell, and I'm sure you Falwell was. Your pronouncement that life begins at conception sounded almost like some sort of right-wing religious pew. But I can't accuse you of that. But it just gave me echoes of the kind of Falwell type utterances. That's just an introduction.
That's so played out. That kind of like that's so played out. I mean, come on. I don't want to say ugly, but your nose big. Now,
no.
That's the way you did. That's what you do.
I'm saying that's genetics. And I don't fight against genetics.
Hold on a second. No. See, I do not think that by you saying, "Oh, you sound like Jerry Falwell," that does nothing to address the opinion that I'm stating, the point that I have. That has nothing, because if or you sound like Trump, you sound like a right wing. That does in no way affect the validity of the point I am making.
It does.
Let's argue reasonably, man. No. That's not a sound argument. That is not a fallacy. It is a fallacy.
That's exactly what you're echoing there. And I just want to make the point that your conception that life begins at
Hold on. That jury, the jury is out on that. Let me say that the jury is out on that.
Go. But I haven't even delivered my argument. I am just repeating what you're saying, sir.
No. But you don't do that. You cannot take no. You're misinterpreting what I'm saying.
No,
I did not say that. I said
you say that life begins at
I said I
conception.
believe that life
Right.
begins, and I have a right to believe that.
Yes, I am not
All right.
disputing.
So I'm not. I can't.
Here we go again.
What do you
I
mean?
attempt to-
You want to run past this, and you're being misleading, brother.
No, I am not misleading. I have an opinion. You have an opinion that life
Right.
begins at conception, and I have an
Right.
opinion that life begins before conception.
Oh my
And that's
goodness.
what that I want to make.
So you want to
Life
go way back
begins
to killing it?
conception.
You want to go way back before the can?
But here we go. I am trying to make a point, and you're interrupting me.
Go ahead.
Mr. Chairman, the monthly cycle of a woman who is on the pill is one where the timing of ovulation is such that it would not get fertilized, but that egg is alive. That egg is a potential fetus. So are you saying, Mr. Chairman, based on your analogy that life begins at conception, are you saying that we should also outlaw the pill? It's just a question for you.
All right.
Catholic Church believe that. The Catholic
Are
Church
Yes.
believes that.
May I answer it?
Yes, because
no.
notwithstanding.
Let me say, yeah, you got
Yeah,
smart now, but that's all right. Listen, the fact that the ovary has a potential for life does not mean it's life. But once that ovary, that egg is fertilized, it is alive. Are you disputing that? Are you disputing that, George?
No, I'm not disputing that. What I am disputing is the fact that you seem to be suggesting that the egg is not alive. That egg is alive whether it's fertilized or not.
How did you get to that? How did you get to that point?
It's alive, sir.
It's
That
not
egg is
alive. Wait. You're saying that the egg is alive before even
It
being...
is.
No, it's not. It's just an egg. No, that's
The
you
egg,
crazy.
the egg is a potential fetus.
A
So I am
potential... But come on, Judge, you smarter than that.
The egg
You
is a
smarter
potential
than that.
fetus, sir. It's
Dog,
alive.
Judge,
It's alive.
Judge,
The egg is alive, sir.
I have a tree in my backyard. It's a potential house. I'm not going in there to live. Are you
Yes.
crazy?
But-
No,
But
man.
I am saying to you, if you have some blocks outside,
Right,
you intend to build a house.
correct.
You believe that if you get rid of the blocks,
Yes, there'll be no house. There'll be no house.
that if you want to build a house and you get rid of the blocks, then the house will not be built. I am using that analogy to say to you, sir, that the egg is a potential fetus. And when you have a woman on the pill and that egg is basically passed into the bathroom, what you're doing, you're denying the life.
Can I say something now? So the sperm that I carry is also a potential life, right? So that means between us, we are carrying two lives?
No, you're carrying a chromosome complement, which when it's combined with the other complement
When it's combined, that's what I'm talking about.
What Mr.
or
Judge?
not even a
What's the
fetus.
argument, George?
Can I use
The
Mr. Judge's
argument, sir,
analogy?
is that you
Can I
are
use
drawing
Mr. Judge's analogy to bring
that
a
is
point?
not a fetus.
Mr. Judge, can I use your analogy? You have the blocks.
Sorry?
You have the blocks. You have the cement.
Yes.
And you have the steel. And you have the lumber. But you don't have a house.
You don't have a house. What you have is a potential of a house.
Yes.
Yeah,
I
but
am
you don't have a house.
Where do you draw the line in terms of saying that you should not have a house? Because this is what you're saying.
Yeah, but the potential for life is not life.
Of course
Yeah,
not.
but
It can be.
but
It's
the
a potential.
no, but
So
the
the bricks
egg is
and the
not
blocks and the cement
the
and the
egg is
steel
not there.
obviously are the inputs for a house, but I don't have a house.
But are you saying that conception is a fetus, which is a zygote? Are you saying that a zygote that is fertilized is a fetus, Mr. Joe? Are you saying that?
I am saying that me
Uh-huh.
sense that is the coming together of the two is the genesis of life.
Correct. And I believe that to be the big bang.
But
That's
One,
what I was saying.
one separated, neither of them is life.
Correct.
just like the blacks and the
But
Steves.
that's common sense. Gregory,
But it's a
Gregory,
scientific fact.
how do you see that? Is George making sense to you?
You're making the wrong assumption. Life continues. Life
No.
stop at ovulation. At ovulation, that egg is alive and well.
No, but it cannot be alive.
No, it's not. It's alive, but it's not alive. It's
Well,
alive.
that's interesting. Think about that. Think about
It's
that
alive, but
statement.
it's not alive.
It has the potential to
What
become
is alive?
alive. It's
Yeah.
not alive as. But again, I want a tricky
No,
one. Okay.
it is. It is alive. It is a living. It is a living cell.
It's a living
Yes.
organism or a
Yes.
cell.
Yes. Yeah.
It is.
It is a living cell. Or
I think
organism.
CY. All right.
Everything in
Anyway,
the body,
I think
everything in the body is alive.
yeah,
The
of course,
bacteria in you is
of
alive.
course,
The
because you're
virus is
alive. Yeah.
alive.
Anyway,
All
I
the
think
cells,
CY.
everything in you is alive.
CY wanted us to get to this to the firing of Lemon and Tucker.
Oh.
Before we go off, we got
Yeah.
about
Yeah.
10 minutes, I believe.
Yeah. Well, I think Tucker caused it on himself, and I think a couple more of them are going to go soon. But I don't know how they'll realign their lineup because Sean. I think Sean has a pretty chance
Hannity?
of losing it. Yeah, Sean.
Yeah,
Hannity.
but
Because
is Murdoch throwing them under the bus?
I think they're just making. Well, they already paid the money, so I think they're just kind of cleaning out the house with some of the. I think they already paid the $787 million.
So what's going to happen now when Trump starts his campaign again? What is Fox going to do? Where are they going to be at?
Oh, well, I think it's sending a signal that, hey, if you guys are going to say something, you need to make sure from a legal point, we're not going to be in hot water.
It sounds
And
like
Lemon,
Joe.
yeah.
It sounds like Joe. Get your facts straight before you talk.
Yes.
Yeah.
And on Lemon,
Lemon,
I think they have said that he had in the past had some misspoke with some of the women in his team, and then he had made some statement about the governor that was running that kind of raised the ire, and I think they're just trying to. There seem to be no consistency with what they did for what's his name? Tucker Carlson and John Lemon. They're not the same. They're not the same issues. But I think they figured their cleaning house to some degree will just clean it.
But they're not the same. Then same network anyway. They're
the same network.
What? Okay.
Yeah,
well,
they're both at Fox.
Which one was fired from CNN? Wasn't it Dan Lemon from CNN?
Isn't it Fox? They're both at Fox, I think.
I don't think so.
No.
CNN.
Carlson is from Fox. Lemon is from CNN.
Correct.
Oh, okay. Okay. Yeah.
Now, did Lemon maybe violate the criteria for free speech? I mean, and isn't there seems like there's a criteria, because if he said something, if he got fired for something he said, I mean, really, the man, now obviously a good reporter, he does his job well. So he said a few things that they didn't think he should say. Are we getting oversensitive? Maybe, don't we? Are we so really backward going that we can't allow people to form an opinion and voice it?
Well, all these networks are aligned with political groupings. They're either sponsored or they're bought and paid for by political. And so, if you say something out of character with that political meaning,
that's a sad
it happens.
Commentary, boy.
But it is true. We saw that with.
I guess you can say it. Yeah.
We've seen that.
It doesn't make America look so free anymore, or so wonderful a place that you cannot even have an opinion.
But Mr. Chairman, it is not about not having an opinion. The issue is that the issue is that Fox News, which is owned by Rupert Murdoch, has a template that it is a profit-driven media house.
Right.
The number one in the United States.
Right.
No, the guy Carlson, no doubt, was one of the biggest money earning for Fox.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
But he offended Murdoch in something that he said and did. So obviously Murdoch decided to remove him. It is my opinion that Carlson will be able to land safe He is in demand. Now, Lemon, on the other hand, who is from CNN, I am not so confident that he will have the same opportunities because, yes,
that's correct.
He was no doubt a very good anchorman or host for CNN. But his removal could be for different reasons. Again, it's not about it's not about free speech. It's a decision that is being made in the case of Fox by Rupert Murdoch. It's not about the free speech issue. And on the other case with CNN, it is not the free speech I think that they are driven by.
Yeah, no, it's profit. It's profit and politics. Profit
That's
and
affected
politics.
by the speech.
Yes.
It's affected by what he said. So obviously then there are limitations to what you're allowed to say and opine about. Is that correct?
No. The limitation as to what you say is different when you are the owner of a media house. It's not you have to offend the law. You offend the owner and you go. That's the reality.
What I see is I found it amazing that there seemed to be no job security at the level of these guys.
Of course not. Yeah.
I don't think that there would be many peers shared, at least in the liberal wing, for Tucker Carlson. But I believe Don Lemon, certainly I think that people generally, at least in Belize, don't treat him with the same level of maybe disdain. I think people love
Lemon
Don Lemon generally.
Well,
but I found it amazing. I found it amazing that they did not have more of job security, because normally I would like to think that at that level there has to be some contract.
But here's the interesting thing.
Oh, then he get paid his contract. He gets paid his contract.
Yeah.
Whatever his contract amount.
He
Whatever
gets
his
paid. They have to
contract
buy him out.
But
the thing is, they will forget you in a minute, regardless of how good you are. Look at Chris Cuomo. Chris Cuomo was excellent, and they fired him like that. And people, you would think that people would say, "Well, this guy is good. Let's hear from him," but they just move on.
But Mr. Chairman, if you have a contract that they could pay you off, and you have no option but to be paid off, to me that contract has certain gaps in it. That, because what if you want to stay on if you haven't committed certain violations?
No, your company, you go farm your own company. Then you can't tell a man you have to hire me. You can't.
No, but I am saying that there's a deficit in the contract if you don't have no option but to be paid off. What if you want to stay on?
You don't have a right to stay on. You don't have a right to stay on.
You can't choice like that.
Mr. Marvin.
If you have committed a violation, then why shouldn't you stay on?
Mr. Marvin.
No.
You see these guys? Trust me.
Hello, who's that?
That contract that the Port of them had, those are contracts that are well written.
Yeah.
And one man like Rupert Murdoch, one multi-billionaire, you think he was making a mistake in one contract? No. What had happened was simple this. The contract is that, yes, if I decide to remove you, that you have committed anything in terms of violating any laws or anything of this side. I just have to believe that I think you can be a risk to the bottom line. And then he pays you. He meets the contract requirement and he pays you off. And you go.
I think that's obvious. And George, if you to work for me and I, for some reason, I decide to fire. Yes, we have a contract. I have to pay you off or do something, right? But you don't have the option to stay on for the term of that contract because they're my company. I can do that if I want. And that makes sense to me, no?
Let me show you what this is important. What really got under the feathers or ruffled the feathers of Murdoch is that Murdoch believed that he could have gotten out of this damage claim by Dominion. And all the host had to do with fellow like Giuliani and the other guy that was on, that when they begin to make those accusations against Dominion, if the host had only used 4 words they should have used,
This
if
is
that
your
is
opinion.
so, then I think we should do this, and that would have saved them from that damage case.
Tell me
Yeah.
something.
Forward.
Do you think
But
maybe a part of the settlement with Dominion was that they had to fire the guys that they did?
No, I don't think so.
No. What
No.
happened is that
There was no
they
benefit for
they didn't
Dominion.
want these things to come to the public notice.
Mhm.
That's what they didn't. You see, the
But
evidence
you
was
know what's
strongly
funny?
against
Well,
facts.
that's why they settled, because
That's
too
right.
much dirt was too much
right.
trace, too much trace of
But
stuff.
isn't that almost an admission of guilt that
Oh, it
should
is.
that
Yes,
that should
they admitted guilt.
but
Yeah,
hold up. That should
did admit
affect
Ah.
should affect the viewership. I mean, don't you think that
No,
people
no,
why
because
would
that's what the
people look
viewer
at that and
wants.
say, "Boy, them people are the lie all the time. Why would I continue to listen to them?" But they still do and still believe.
Because that's what the people want.
Because
Fox is
because
giving them
exactly.
the people exactly what they want. You know, there
That's
was
right.
some years ago another reporter named David Brinkley, and why I was saying there's always a political angle to this. They asked him during one of the president, I think it was Clinton at the time, that was giving his national speech to Congress, State of the Union, and he said, "Oh, I'm tired of these things. He's just a something type of bore, right? In that the speech is boring." 2 days later, they removed David Brinkley from his position, where he was the top guy at the news station, right? Just because he said the president at the time, who was supported by that network, was a total bore. So all they said that, oh, the old man is getting senile and he misspoke, and they took him off the air and paid him off for the rest of his contract and never had him again on the news station.
If I may, one thing I hope that one day any four of us could make a fraction of what them Bali they make. So they're gonna make it if they have to go to our next state or another country. They because they're good. They're good in what they do. Obviously.
Yeah.
George, you got to close out now. Go ahead.
yeah, well, I was just going to say that obviously we are of varied opinion in relation to the whole issue of job security. I could tell you that in the public service here in Belize, Mr. Murdoch, as a head of department, would not have been arbitrarily able to fire Mr. Joe Cowie.
Well, nobody can fire public servants.
Right.
I've seen them commit some
Exactly.
rigorous.
And you know why that? That is because there's the public servants whom are permanent have to go through a rigorous situation of recruitment, and you can't just arbitrarily fire them. I'm making the point that there's value in having a job that you can rely on. It's not just the interest of the
Value to
employer.
who? Value to
But
who?
yeah, George. Because there are
There's
times when
there's value to the company.
there's
But let
times
us
when
finish the thought.
go ahead.
What I see here is that there has been an erosion of workers' rights over time, and it's a function of the right-wing bent that the United States has taken. We remember Ronald Reagan, and we remember the
Make your point, man. Make your point because with the close out, and I have to address that.
If you want me to stop before I make my point, you have the right.
Are you gonna make it tonight? Are you gonna make it tonight?
No, well, if you are harassing me, it's not going to happen. I am saying that labor is valuable, and it's not just a function of the employer.
All right.
And
Can
I
I
am
say
saying
something
that
now?
it could be outraged that somebody could be arbitrarily fired.
Can I say something now? I am saying that there are two sides to that coin, because there are times when people, in particular in the public service in Belize, do some crazy stuff that they ought to be fired, but they cannot be. And we come back to the police. You know, when the police officers come up on interdiction, spend half pay for a year or two, and have to be brought right back in because it's almost impossible to fire them, and that should not be. So it's okay to have security of tenure, but you have to also go ahead.
Rights should not be, Mr. Chairman, if you are violating their rights. Doesn't the policeman have a right to supervise?
but right, who's right and by what standard? Really, that's the question.
Well,
Because
that's
what if they're violating
it's a constitutional right to due process.
to
It's a
what?
constitution that protects you.
Yeah, so but that due process ought to have some kind of end. It can't be like your speech. You might just go on. There has to be some end to it.
No,
Well,
you-
Mr. Chairman, can I end?
I just about deception
Sorry,
hard,
sorry.
brother.
Yeah, boy, look for look for closing out. Hey, it's time, man. Listen, guys. Yeah, Joe. One last word. See why I get you one last word.
I just wanted to end on a fact check. To say that public officers cannot be fired is not true. What happened? The public officers, there are 3 commissions for the public service. Those 3 commissions can discipline them. The problem is that it is not being complied with.
All right, non-compliance, and we have to go on with that more. We talk, Judge. Peace, my brother. May you all right. I mean, your job when you could. So when you get job, no ball at all. All right. Let's do this again next week, people. Same time, same place. CY, take it away, guys. Thanks.
Good night.
Thank you. Welcome.
Oh yeah, we're going on with this. You know, I'm giving time for talk about the May Day thing there, man. The fundraiser, please, people. Please, give me support. Guys, next week, respect every time.
Hello?
Yeah.
That I am dreading my heart. Right from the start, you know the path where we walk. Come to tell me say that I am dreading my heart. I was born that way. And if the devil doesn't like it, then he can depart. Or she can depart. Uno can depart. If the devil doesn't like it, then Uno can depart. And go away. Well, even though when they walk through the valley of the dead, we fear no evil in our heart. We dread Satan. Go look, we fence instead. Not test the general. So solid. So say we heart naughty. Whole heap of people unhappy. On the microphone, we chatty. I will dread. Kill them, bury my flesh because my spirit cannot die. I believe in the words of the Almighty I. Almighty I. That's why we sing. Come to tell them to say that I am dreading my heart. Right from the start, you know the path where we walk. Come to tell them to say that I am dreading my heart. I was born that way. And if the devil doesn't like it, then he can depart. Or she can depart. Uno can depart. If the devil doesn't like it, then Uno can depart. And go away. You have someone dread longer than a yard. Perpetrating fraud. Both them big and them broad. But who for them God? Claim said in a Rasta man. The boy is softer than soup in a can. We don't know a wedding depend. Don't you so in a Bobby wrong. Come to tell them to say that I am dreading my heart. Right from the start, you know the path where we walk. Come to tell them to say that I am dreading my heart. I was born that way. And if the devil doesn't like it, then he can depart. Apex predator, so treat me like a barracuda from outer Belize water, or like a polar bear from outer Alaska. If I'm a snake, then call me a black mamba. Apex predator, so treat me like a barracuda from outer Belize water, or like a polar bear from outer Alaska. If I'm a snake, black mamba. Right now we sit down on top of the food chain, over vast territory, and I'm on the Reno. Serengeti, One of my domain. If you don't find no bones, then we take the blame. Concrete jungle, rugged terrain. Look at the color and the size of my mean. We no play close, much less play games. We not do this for likes nor fame. I've had the disposition of a bald eagle. Miles above earth, we don't set the table. Spook your herd, watch you scramble. Pick off the weak and the vulnerable. Don't win, you know a tight circle. And knock off the one name, everything then a trouble. On the double, because you're gullible. You cry for help, won't get muffled. Yo, we strike fair in the heart of beasts and men when we hold. What's if you the buzz of the wrist? You the move foul. Lone wolf when with the scout, or with the pack when with the prowl. Check the size of my insiders when I growl. Relentless pursuit, separate you from your crowd. Even if you have to run up on the curb. King, no master we deserve. Track you through your third. Yo, 0 to 60 in 30, some of the bucking 45. Fittest survive. Ear spin back, pre-visualize your demise while protecting my pride. Sole purpose is to provide, not easier.